Greetings, greetings, greetings. You are now tuned into the Vault. Trust Christian, own nothing, control everything. Just want to thank you for tuning in live, listening to replay. This is the Vault podcast on YouTube. Always appreciate everybody that tunes in live, listens in the replay. Once again, this is Trust Christian speaking. Own nothing, control everything. Just want to thank you for tuning in live, listening to replay. Definitely have a wonderful episode we're going to bring to you today, which is the Vault episode 55, Public Trust Information. Definitely wanted to do this episode. It was not a question that we've gotten in consultations. So if you want to reach out via consultation, feel free to reach out. Christian at trustchristian.com. Once again, that's Christian at trustchristian.com. That's the email you can reach out. And so, definitely, that's the way we take your inquiries. Feel free to reach out. Christian at trustchristian.com. And so, this episode is episode 556, actually. And public trust information is this episode. So, in today's episode, we're going to be going over a lot of the information that people may hear on the internet, give them a little bit of clarity on the questions that they have about it. This isn't financial advice or legal advice, it's just called experience. We didn't want to do a public versus private episode. We wanted to do an episode that is grounded in basically what it is and not what people think it is. We actually had someone come on the line the other day and say, well, why wouldn't I want to be the beneficiary, or why wouldn't I want my children to be the beneficiary? And so the question came down to that because they were in the public. The private, having your name on anything or having a name on anything is creating forms of liability. So we always have to keep this into account. To a degree, almost might ask these questions. Um, and so that's very, very important. And so in this particular episode, we wanted to go over a lot of the public trust information that's out on the internet. I'm not going to cover all of it, but we definitely want to at least give people a greater understanding of the information that they're engaging in when they reach out to the vault and they say, oh, well, I created my own trust. Sounds like public trust information. Well, don't I want to be the beneficiary? Sounds like public trust information. Well, what's wrong with me being the grantor and then having my significant other be the uh, trustee and I be the beneficiary? This is public trust information. Oh, hold on. Here we go. So, this is the way that they talk in the public. Oh, well, I'm going to make my significant other the trustee of my trust, but I'll be the beneficiary. And then I'll be the trustee of their trust, and they'll be the beneficiary. But did they create it? Public trust information. Do you guys live together technically on paper? Public trust information. These are easy conversations to have, very simple conversations to have, and to clear up a lot of the misconceptions. So if you listen to the episode, you can feel free to reach out. Christian at trustchristian.com. Definitely will go over the answers to or elaborate with more information when it comes to this type of information. Why? Because this is the public trust information. Here we go. Your attorney and your lawyer said, the lawyer and the accountant says, yeah, you should keep all the assets in your name because what happens when you want to buy a house? Well, do you think the Kennedys are set up? That's first of all, that's public trust information. Do you think any wealthy family, any of them are buying a house in their name? Well, hold on, Trust Christian involved. I'm first generation. I'm going through first generation problems, which means I don't know how to do it yet. Right? So that means that there's an investment in the private education so you can get the private information so you cannot buy the house in your name. Oh, well, how long is that going to take? I got a public credit score. I got public trust information. We can go so many ways, ladies and gentlemen. Oh, we'll get people come on the line on in consultation and say, okay, the government created a trust. That's the public trust. But I'm supposed to be the beneficiary. That's public trust information. That's why you're filing taxes as the beneficiary, because the beneficiary receives the distributions. That's why. Public trust information. Public trust information. Hold on, hold on. So the government, they created a trust for me, but am I supposed to be the beneficiary, or the trustee? I thought the government was the trustee. So if they're the trustee, aren't they liable for managing the books properly? As the beneficiary, you receive distribution. Why would you be filing anything? Because just like they say, well, if you go into a corporation, you'll be double taxed. That's called public trust information. If you go into a corporation, you're gonna be double. Who's you? It's still yours, right? Oh, okay. We're doing our best to cover the bases, ladies and gentlemen. We get so many conversations. We've had over 500 episodes because we've done over 500 consultations throughout the years. And yes, there are many questions that continuously come up. Uh, and we're just doing our best to replay these conversations right now, especially because they're very simple, very similar in nature. Am I supposed to be the owner? Am I supposed to be the controller? Am I supposed to be uh, the beneficiary? I'm not sure if the beneficiary is the owner. On paper, is the beneficiary the owner on paper? Public trust information. See, public trust information doesn't share that the beneficiary in some scenarios doesn't have any control based off the contract and the way that it's written. Oh man, but hold on. I thought I was supposed to be the beneficiary on the public trust side. Yeah, public trust information. Whereas though in the private, you're not the beneficiary. If you're the beneficiary, in the public, you look like the beneficial owner. In the private, where you think the public came from, the private gave his private beneficiaries. Not all of them are liable. These are very important components to keep in the loop, keep abreast of, keep the conversation about. Public trust information. Well, trust Christian in the vault. I want to build credit on a private trust. So you want to build credit on a private trust. That's public trust information. Why? Because private, it definitely deals with a high level of equity. That means that there are assets available already from the beginning. See, the public has started out of the imaginary, the hypothecation. So that's why you see people come on the line and say, there is no such thing as money. The money doesn't really, it's not, it doesn't have value. It's losing value every day. That's public trust information. Very aware of that. So how do you not abate it, but how do you focus on private information? You email Christian at trustchristian.com. It's not floating around on the internet. People say, oh, is one individual. They say, oh, yeah, I'm going to keep doing my research. On the public side, or are you going to research and invest in the private education? That's what it comes down to. That's what it looks like. Are you going to invest in a private education, or is it going to be, hey, you know what? I'm going to just see if I can Google as much as I can Google. First of all, the people that we're going to have on our next webinar, the enrolled agent, they're in the private. The wealth advisor, they're in the private. Oh, how do you manage public businesses as a trustee? That's what they're doing. They're managing businesses as a trustee. Do you expose their position? If you sit on the public trust side as a trustee, you can sit on the private side as a trustee. Doesn't mean you own it. It's very easy to move. So we really want to do a one episode. Just thinking about it right now is an episode definitely to do um, based off public and private. But ladies and gentlemen, public quote unquote trust information is floating around all over the internet. If it was so easy to be private, then we would see more so-called people popping up just publicly talking about it. Why would they come out and talk about it in the public? Because it's a private position. That is the advantage and the disadvantage of either knowing or not knowing. Public trust information puts us in a position where if that's all we know, we're limited. It's like only being able to know about one specific style of entity. So we're here once again going over very important elements of, oh, well, is it mine? Did I create it? Ladies and gentlemen, you're not the only one in the boat that thinks you're supposed to own it. We get trustees that go through trustee training and have to walk with them and walk with them and walk with them and re-walk with them over and over about me, my, and I. My trust. I have a trust. That's what they ask. That's what they say. That's public trust information because the private trustee knows that they don't own anything, so they don't announce possessors to things. They don't commingle things. They make it a point to be very clear that this is business, not personal. Whether it's family business or not, it's still family business. It's not personal. There is no me. There is no my. It's a focus on the last name. And you say, oh, is it that easy? Is that all the private information? It's just not mine anymore? There's more to it than that. But the initials are definitely letting go of the me and the my. And so when you say, oh, well, how bad can it be? Well, trustees come through. It takes them a while to get rid of that thought process. Not all of them. Some of them do immediately get to it, and then some of them take a while to get through because they have programming. They have programming for years in the public. So public trust information just keeps them over there because they're not really speaking the private language. And so you say, oh, what's the private language? It's not public. It's not saying me. It's not my. It's not promoting anything in the public. There's elements to it, and the elements are dealing with more business than they are personal. Oh, how do I get a personal loan? How do remember? This is what the accountants and lawyers say. How are you gonna get a loan, or how are you gonna get something in your name? How are you gonna be able to live? Well, clearly they're not living right. We'll say it again. Clearly they're not living private. Because if they were to ask you, they wouldn't have needed to ask you that question because they would know how. They don't know. So they say, well, how are you going to get your mortgage paid? How are you going to be able to acquire a new house? Well, if the estate is set up properly, what they say, you're the living will of your life. The living will. The living faith. So why would you need a will after you died if you got a living will now? But see, they don't want to tell you it's backwards. Most of them don't know. Trust Christian can speak from this perspective. We'll say it once again. Why would you not be living your will right now? They want you to live your will when you're dead. Why? So they can administer it in probate. This is real easy. This is real simple. Somebody ain't gonna sit there and say the other day, oh, Trust Christian, I'm not trying to work my whole life, and then when I die, give all my money away to people. I'm gonna work my whole life for all the money, and I'm gonna give all the money away to people. People don't even understand that you could live from the grave, still having decisions made, financial or otherwise, through written directives. Oh, so I died and then I gave all the money away to everybody I wanted to. Every family member, every friend, every business, every institution. There was no penny wasted. It didn't go to court fees. It went to who it was supposed to go to with minimal fees. Public trust information. It's only one way out, Trust Christian in the vault. Right. Appreciate everybody for tuning in live, listening to replay. Always appreciate everybody tuning in live, listening to replay. Feel free to reach out Christian at trustchristian.com. You come to the next workshop. It's Christian at trustchristian.com. Look forward to seeing you. We got some special guest speakers. Private wealth advisors going to be being able to go over a lot. Has ex securities for sure, has securities licenses. Wasn't in a negative way, D-Bar, just at a point where they're in, not what we wouldn't call them the insurance business, but more of a wealth advisor position. So you're dealing with someone that deals with businesses that are making over $500,000, over $1 million, and then just high net worth businesses in general, over the $30 million threshold. And so, very much so advisory when it comes to the financial services industry, what's available, things of that nature. So then we get into the enrolled agent, IRS. You see, they have actually worked for them, so you're going to hear that as well. It's a big thing. It's going to be beautiful for people to get in contact with that individual, have someone like that on their team. So look forward to it. Definitely appreciate everybody for tuning in live, listening to replay. Feel free to reach out, Christian at trustchristian.com. This is an episode for the people to be on the webinar this Sunday, March the 3rd. Once again, it's at 5 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Be going for 2 hours, 5 p.m. to 7 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Look forward to hearing from you and seeing you on the webinar. And feedback on this episode.